The Pienqui Chronicles, Swiber Mirage. Prologue. The Neon Prophecy. The Mirage Desert wasn't a place on any map. It was a glitch in the world, a liminal space where reality folded in on itself. The sand shimmered like crushed circuitry, pulsing with buried signals from the past. Under the blood-orange sky, Frankie Koo pushed her cyber bike to its limits, the engine screaming as she chased a whisper only she could hear. Somewhere ahead, beyond the heat distortions and the fragmented time loops, a pole of electric blue light rose from the dunes. It called to her. She didn't know why, but she had to find out. Pienqui Chronicles, Swiber Mirage Chapter 1. Ghosts in the code Frankie through the Mirage Frankie Koo. Liddy Ma Fuka. She mumbled to herself as she tore through the Mirage Desert, her black Harley Classic roaring beneath her. The bike was a beast, a custom hybrid of luxury and power, all speed and sin. Orange sand kicked up behind her, flying like flames from the spinning tires, making her heart K-ray. Vroom, vroom. The engine screamed, burning fuel that spit pure chaos out of the exhaust. Frankie rode like she was made for the wind. Bare arms, honey bronze skin, bright yellow leather motorbike pants clinging to her long legs. She didn't wear helmets, jackets, or shoes. She didn't need protection. She was the danger. She was the cyberpunk rebel, a stylish savage. Alone in the mirage, riding miles from anything real. Then, a ball of fire erupted on the horizon. Frankie's hazel eyes widened, full lips twisting into a grin. She flicked out her tongue and gripped the handlebars tighter. "Oh, I like that," she hissed, smizing with her hella long lashes. Das me. Yet ma kinda steeds." As she drew closer, the fireball transformed into something else, a long chrome pole rising from the sand. A stripper pole, out here in the middle of nowhere. Frankie slowed, eyes. "Catch my sauce. Like ma drips? Lick ma fingers." She pulled her bike to a halt, stopping a few feet away. The chrome pole shone bright, too perfect, too real. Then it started to shift. The air around the pole shimmered, and a silver dome unfurled, spreading above and below it like a bubble of liquid metal. Frankie squinted, trying to make sense of it. The mirage was fucking with her head again. She was about to turn away when a pair of black bedazzled pumps appeared. She blinked, holding up 2 fingers in a classic peace sign. Wu 0 OE. She breathed. Standing across from her was a pale, model-esque figure, a girl wrapped in a black lace bodysuit, gripping the chrome pole with arms carved from marble. Muscles flexed beneath flawless skin, hair swept back in a sleek ponytail. A cyborg, a fucking robo-baddie. Frankie's chest tightened. "My titties got hard," she muttered. "If my titty got hard, this gonna be really Gucci." She revved the engine, about to tear off, when the cyborg girl turned to face her. She flicked out her tongue. Frankie's heart skipped a beat. Mental pulse that sent a shiver down Frankie's spine. She was stuck. Frozen like a pinup at a Cosmos Racer magazine shoot. The cyborg leaned against the pole, fingers tapping her thick nalga, eyes locked on Frankie. "Hold me if you want to feel a lil something." Frankie sucked in a breath. She wanted to get closer. She popped a wheelie instead, the engine howling like a beast. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was caught in something bigger than herself. Chest, the cyborg didn't move, just stood there gazing, hypnotizing her with a predator's stare. Then she dropped, ass up, tongue out, crawling towards Frankie like a savage animal in heat. Frankie's body responded, heat crackling over her skin, braids whipping around her head like Medusa's snakes. She dropped her arms, throwing up the energy. She was caught in the mirage, tangled in the cyborg's pull. And then, they were face to face. The cyborg leaned in, her milky lips parting, and their tongues locked. Sue sat back on her black leather bike seat, gripping the handles as her honey bronze skin gleamed under the fading mirage sun. She was still buzzing from the encounter. Cyborg Pienqui's taste still on her tongue, the energy in her veins like a high she didn't ask for but couldn't shake off. Her yellow leather motorbike pants clung tight, heat rising from her skin. Her bare feet dug into the hot sand. She hadn't planned to stop in the mirage, but the chrome pole, the dome, and the cyborg girl who just dropped into her reality like a neon ghost. Yeah, that wasn't something you just drove away from. Frankie ran her tongue over her teeth, smirking. Damn, what kind of trip was that? She flexed her fingers over the throttle. The mirage was still flickering, glitching at the edges like an overexposed hologram. It was that in-between state, where things weren't solid, where reality bent like heat waves off pavement. And in that shimmer, she saw something new. A figure in the distance, walking slow. At first, she thought it was Pian Kwai coming back for round 2. But nah, this was someone else. She was built different. Longer strides, tighter energy, sharper in a way that made Frankie's pulse stutter in her chest. The girl stepped through the distortion like she had always belonged there. Frankie squinted, lifting her chin, already feeling that same predator-prey pull she felt with Pian Kwai Wei. The girl was wrapped in black leather, high-waisted cyber kink shorts, buckles glinting, a sleeveless corset hugging her like a second skin. Straps lined her thighs, the suspender-style clips hooking into knee-high cyber heels that pulsed red at the base. A bodysuit that looked like it was painted on, but reinforced like armor. Her hair was raven dark, but dipped in UV streaks of hot pink and deep blue, long and bone straight, falling over one shoulder like a warning sign. Her eyes, black sclera, violet irises, and glowing around the edges. Frankie bit the inside of her cheek. The F** kinda dream sequence is this. The girl stopped just a few feet away. Her stance was solid. Hands at her hips, her jawline sharp enough to carve up any fool who got too close. Then she smirked, and Frankie felt it. The energy crackled between them, something deeper than attraction, something coded into the air. A challenge, a question: you ready for this? Frankie licked her lips and tilted her head, rolling her shoulders like she had all the time in the world. What's good, shorty? You lost. The girl just laughed, her voice a low, electric hum. Ain't nobody lost in the mirage. Either you here cause you meant to be, or you here cause you meant to be, or you here cause you about to disappear. Frankie raised a brow. Oh, so you a prophet now. Damn, these cyborg types really be talking in riddles. The girl stepped closer, slow, deliberate, the cyber heels clicking in rhythm with the glitching lights around them. Then she reached up, touching her own violet lips, smudging the color with her thumb before dragging it down her own neck. You still tasting her? Frankie's throat went dry. She stayed leaning back against her bike, but her grip on the throttle tightened. Damn you nosy. The girl's grin widened. Not nosy, just connected. Frankie sucked in a slow breath. This was something else. She knew how to read energy, and this girl was danger wrapped in leather, a coded warning stitched into cyberpunk silk. You got a name, or you just another mirage trick? The girl finally stopped a few inches away, tilting her head like she was scanning Frankie's soul. They call me Frankie too. Frankie barked a short laugh. Frankie 2. The F* happened to Frankie 1***. Frankie 2's eyes flickered with amusement. She didn't make it. Frankie felt her stomach tighten at that. A lot of people didn't make it in the Mirage. She had spent her life outrunning ghosts, racing the circuit, making sure she never got caught up in something she couldn't handle. And yet, she felt herself leaning forward, like she was getting pulled in again. What you want, Frankie? Frankie's grin was slow, deliberate. I want to see if you're worth the hype. Frankie smirked. You trying to race? You trying to fight? You trying to F***? You gotta be specific, baby. Frankie just stared at her, those violet eyes scanning her like she was running through every possible outcome of this moment. Then, why not all three? Frankie's breath hitched. Oh, she was in trouble. And she liked it. The Suzuki invitation before Frankie could respond, the mirage flickered again. This time, the skyline cracked open. Above them, a golden message unraveled like a cyber god had written it across the sky. The House of Hefna opens tonight. Frankie looked up, then back at Frankie. Well, looks like we both got an invite. Frankie tapped her fingers on her bike, feeling that same pull in her chest. She had spent her whole life racing to survive, but this was something bigger. Guess we better show up. Frankie smirked. Hope you can keep up. Cue. Frankie revved the engine, grinning like the reckless bitch she was. Baby, I am the F***ing race. And with that, they took off into the Mirage, heading straight for destiny. Chapter 3. House of Blue. The Baddies Rise. The note that shook the universe it started as a pulse. A hum in the dark, slipping through satellites and cybernetic nerve networks. A message whispered across the universe like a neon prophecy. The House of Hefna opens tonight. At first, it was a rumor, a glitch, a fever dream passing through the right circuits, hitting the right ears. Then the signals strengthened, bouncing from planet to planet, dimension to dimension, summoning the ones who understood its language. Every bad bitch, outlaw, rogue android, fallen goddess, and intergalactic femme fatale felt the pull. They knew what it meant. A calling, a test, a chance to step into the ring and prove they were worthy of something bigger. And they all wanted in. The gathering of the baddies, they came from every galaxy, every back alley, every underworld where power moved in whispers. The bitches from the moon, the hoes from Mars, the slick-tongued rebels from the neon gutters of New Venus. The last remnants of Earth's fallen goddesses. They pulled up in chrome-plated ships, dripping in jewels, with futuristic furs dragging across the floors of their spacecraft. They came in glowing bodysuits and holographic heels, with battle scars hidden beneath silk gloves, with eyes that had seen empires burn. They came to fight, to seduce, to conquer. They came to see if Bae Hefna was real. The Bae effect Bae Hefna wasn't just a name. She was a frequency, a force, the female version of Hugh Hefner, but 10 times deadlier. She built the House of Hefna, an empire where power was written in seduction, war, and empire building. A place where femme fatales didn't just survive, they ruled. She had rings upon rings upon rings, championship belts from every kind of battle, from street fights in Neo-Tokyo to wrestling dominatrix leagues in the metaverse, to bare-knuckle brawls on the moons of Jupiter. She was the original Barbie body of the 90s, back when Earth still had rules and gravity. She had lived through centuries, untouched by time, genetically enhanced, sharpened by war. And she had one mission, to find the last gems in the galaxy, not jewels, not metals, people, women, creatures built from the most powerful forces of the cosmos. She was building a new order, a new kind of femme fatale revolution. And the bitches who showed up tonight, they were about to see if they had what it took to be part of it. The fight for entry, it wasn't about standing in line. If you wanted a place in the House of Hefna, you had to earn it. That's why the cage existed. At the center of the mirage, inside the Suzuki Club, was an arena like no other, a battle dome where fights weren't just about fists. They were about style, charm, seduction, power. The moment the message spread across the stars, the cage lit up. The energy was hot as fuck. Smoke rising, neon dripping from the ceiling, holograms pulsing as high rollers placed their bets on who would win. El Tios, the underground kingpin of the Suzuki Club, had everything under control, or so he thought. Because when the baddest bitches in the universe pulled up, he realized this night was going to be bigger than anything he had ever seen. The first challenger steps up inside the cage. The lights flashed. A figure stepped forward. She was tall, draped in liquid black armor that hugged her like a second skin. Her chrome heels clanked against the floor, sending sparks into the air. Her nails were dipped in silver, sharp enough to slice through steel on her eyes. They glowed red, scanning the crowd, hunting for the first one stupid enough to challenge her. Her name was Martyr Martha, a war priestess, a warrior trained in Big Pharma's private army, genetically modified to be stronger, faster, deadlier than any human who had ever walked Earth. She was here on a mission. She wasn't here to join the House of Hefna. She was here to destroy it. The first fight begins, a bell rang. The cage sealed. The first fight for Hefna's new empire had begun. And only the baddest bitches would survive the night. Chapter 4. Reign of Hefna, the war and the rise of a new order. The reason for war Big Pharma wanted Bae Hefna gone. Not just gone, erased. She wasn't just another problem in the system. She was a threat to the entire Neuralink pharmaceutical empire. For centuries, Big Pharma had controlled human evolution, rewriting the genetic code with their bioenhanced implants, neural hacking devices, and dependency-based healthcare systems. They weren't just selling medicine. They were manufacturing a world where they owned the body, mind, and soul. They created diseases just to sell the cure. They monitored every brainwave, controlled every emotion, dictated every lifespan. And then, Bae Hefna happened, the original Barbie body. The last pure genetic code. A living, breathing, high-performance machine of beauty, power, and longevity. And worse, she wasn't just keeping it to herself. She figured out how to regenerate cells, not with synthetic drugs, not with mind control implants, but with cannabis-infused healing therapy. Her Canna Avocado Coconut Oil blend wasn't just some luxury beauty product. It was a weapon against Big Pharma's entire industry. It reversed aging. It healed scars, neural decay, even reprogrammed trauma. It made bodies self-sustaining, independent from corporate medicine. She was handing people the power to heal themselves, and that made her enemy number one. Big Pharma had two choices: control her or kill her. And they knew Hefna would never be controlled. The assassin in the cage, Martyr Martha, didn't come to join the House of Hefna. She came to burn it down. A high priestess of the Neuralink pharma cult, she was built for one purpose only: extermination of genetic outlaws. Her blood wasn't just laced with nanotech, it was controlled by it. Her muscles were coded for precision destruction. Her mind was programmed with one mission: destroy Bae Hefna and her entire revolution. And now, she was standing in the center of the cage, glowing red, waiting for the first challenger. The Suzuki Club roared with energy as the battle began. The first strike, the first fighter stepped into the ring. A girl from New Venus, draped in neon silk, her arms lined with plasma tattoos that pulsed like electricity. She moved like liquid, all seduction, all grace. She wasn't just here to fight. She was here to hypnotize. She twirled, dipped, curved her body like an ancient dance, eyes locked on modern Martha, ready to charm the kill switch right out of her. And for a moment, it almost worked. Martha's head tilted. Her neural receptors flickered. The New Venus girl leaned in, her lips parting. And then, a snap. Faster than light, Martha's hand lashed out, gripping her throat. The Venusian choked, body dangling in the air, feet kicking. Martha smiled. "You think seduction can rewire me," she whispered, voice glitching. "You think pleasure is stronger than programming?" She clenched her fist. C-rack. The girl's body went limp. She dropped her fist, stepping over her like nothing more than a discarded hologram. Next, the crowd froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Until a second figure stepped forward. Someone no one expected. Frankie Q enters the cage. Frankie Q had no business stepping into that ring. She wasn't a trained assassin. She wasn't a genetically enhanced soldier. She wasn't even part of this war. She was just a racer, a trickster, a street legend from the circuit. But she knew one thing. She hated when bitches thought they were untouchable. She licked her lips, stepping forward, barefoot in the neon sand, yellow leather motorbike pants glistening under the strobes. She flexed her fingers. 8, since nobody else got the ovaries for it. Guess that makes me next. Martha turned, scanning her with precision AI vision. Then, she laughed. "You're not even enhanced." Frankie grinned. "Yeah, but I'm real as fuck." The bell rang. The fight was on. The test of power. Frankie moved on instinct. She wasn't here to play by rules. Martha came at her fast. A red blur, all lethal limbs and sharp precision. Frankie dropped low, spun on her heels, ducked under the first strike, her long braids snapping in the air. Martha's hand slammed into the ground where Frankie's head had been half a second ago. A crater formed. The whole arena shook. The crowd gasped. Frankie grinned. "Damn bitch! You punch any harder, you gon' break the mirage." She flipped backward, kicking sand in Martha's face, before launching into a spinning roundhouse that cracked against Martha's skull. The impact sent a shockwave through the cage. Martha stumbled. For the first time, she looked pissed. And Frankie loved that shit. She licked her lips, stepping back, arms wide. "Come on, then. Show me what you got," Martha growled. And the real fight began. Scene 6, the rise of a new order above them, high in the house of Hefna. Bae watched the fight unfold. She exhaled smoke, her pink cigar blunt glowing against her full lips. Beside her, Frankie too leaned against the railing, watching intently. "You think she can take her?" Frankie too murmured. Bae smirked. "It ain't about winning." Frankie too raised a brow. "Then what's it about?" Hefna took another slow drag, her eyes glowing with something ancient, something powerful. "It's about who got the nerve to step in that cage at all." And below, Frankie and Martyr Martha collided like gods. The battle for the future of the last free femmes in the universe had begun. Chapter 5. The awakening of Icy Queen's dreamscape torture. The sound message woke her up. A pulse, a vibration. Not physical, but woven into the very fabric of her neural system. It crawled through the quantum network, bypassing every firewall, slipping into her consciousness like a seductive whisper. Bae Hefna's voice. Soft, lethal, ancient. "Wake up, bitch. The house is open. Time to play." Icy Queen's violet eyes snapped open. She wasn't just waking up from sleep. She was snapping out of a deep trance, a deliberate mind trap she had crafted for someone else. She blinked, flexing her fingers, recalibrating her senses. The air around her was thick with illusion. Her own custom-made nightmare playing out in real time. A galactic warlord princess was strapped to the bed across from her, suspended in a web of glowing pink threads, her body frozen in a hyper-realistic simulation. Her eyes were wide, her lips parted. Sweat glistened on her porcelain skin. She was stuck in a dream, a fantasy Icy Queen had built for her, a PNKY fantasy, designed to strip her mind bare, to make her confess everything. Icy Queen rolled her shoulders, stretching her limbs, feeling the cold metal of her cyber corset dig into her ribs. She walked over to the bed, tilting her head as she studied the princess's trembling form. Still no info. "Damn, baby girl. You really trying to test me, huh?" The princess whimpered, her breath hitching. Her body was reacting to something. The princess whimpered. Her body was reacting to something that kept her locked between pleasure and panic, but she hadn't spoken. hadn't cracked. Icy sighed, running a hand through her icy blue hair, frustration curling in her gut. She was wasting time, and now, Bae Hefna had sent the call. The real game was starting. She turned away from the princess, exhaling slow. Guess I'll have to find my answers the old-fashioned way. She snapped her fingers. The entire illusion glitched, pixelated, then collapsed. The princess gasped, her body convulsing as she snapped back to reality, blinking up at Icy with wide, terrified eyes. Icy smirked. Bye, bitch. Hope you enjoyed the stay. She left the princess struggling against her restraints, stepping out of the Pianquai motel into the neon-lit mirage. The walk to the cage, the mirage, felt different tonight. More alive, Icy Queen could feel the vibration of it beneath her boots, the hum of the quantum network shifting, pulsing with new frequencies. Bae's note had changed everything. The House of Hefna wasn't just reopening. It was reconstructing reality itself. And Icy Queen wasn't about to be left behind. She knew where she had to go. The cage. The battleground where the baddest bitches in the galaxy were fighting for their place in the new world order. She smirked, licking her lips. Let's see what these hoes really got. She started walking. The mirage parted for her. The lights shifted, flickering, reacting to her presence like it recognized her. And then, a ship pulled up. A big one. The sound of engines roaring, neon exhaust smoke curling into the air. A sleek silver beauty with UV-lit decals along the side, shaped like a speeding bullet. Loca Lux's ship. Icy Queen slowed her steps, raising a perfectly arched brow. The doors hissed open, and Loca Lux stepped out. Draped in vinyl and attitude, her sapphire chrome heels clicking against the pavement, eyes gleaming beneath gold-rimmed visor glasses. She looked fresh as hell. And she was smiling. Damn, bitch. Loca Lux leaned against the ship, arms crossed. You trying to walk to the cage? In those heels? You buggin'. Icy smirked. And you pulled up like you got somewhere important to be. Loca Lux's grin widened. Face, you already know. Mommy. Icy tapped her nails against her thigh, feeling the hunger in the air, the electric tension building around them. Guess we ride in together then. Loca Lux tilted her head toward the open ship door. Get in, bitch. We go into war. The cage awaits as Loca Lux's ship shot through the mirage, slicing through glitching skylines and neon grids. Icy Queen leaned back in her seat, flexing her fingers. She could feel it now. The weight of the night. The power struggle playing out in real time. Bae Hefna was calling all the players to the table, and Icy Queen was about to make sure her seat was secured. Loca Lux glanced at her from the pilot's seat. You ready for this? Icy smirked, adjusting the straps on her cyber corset, feeling the pulse of the mirage syncing with her own body rhythm. Bitch, I was born ready. The ship descended toward the cage. The baddest bitches in the universe were already inside, waiting, and Icy Queen was about to make her entrance. Chapter 6. The road to the masterclass Loca Lux and Maki. A goodbye on the moon wasn't the same anymore. Not since the human moon species had evolved. A new kind of being birthed in low gravity, built with longer limbs, sharper eyes, and lungs that didn't need Earth